Hello, welcome to Location with me, Thirsty Allsop. This week, Tom and Bessica are looking for a semi-detached PA de terre in Penge. So this week, I'll be sitting them down and showing them my clitoris. I've been working on some Kirsty and Phil-based fan fiction. And also, I just think Thirsty Allsop, another fantastic drag name. We've hit a stride already. Welcome to another episode of I've Had a Rosé, Let's Talk About Feelings with me, Sam Lake. This is the podcast where I talk to some very funny people about their relationship with their emotions and their feelings. And I hope you've had an amazing week. I mean, it certainly looks like you had. It looks like you've taken everything in your absolute stride, which I can imagine is both massively impressive and dainty. But enough about analysing your gait. Let's talk about the week gone by. I'd like to thank everyone for their very touching messages after the arrival of a little bundle of joy, because this week I became a father to a beautiful baby PlayStation 5 that arrived on Thursday in the wee hours of the morn. And we've just been playing together. It's so well behaved. It loves sitting behind the TV. Honestly, I had to put it behind the TV. The PlayStation 5 is too big to put anywhere else. If I leave it out in the open, I'm worried what might happen. It's very monolithic, and also made me realise PlayStation, Sony definitely have an agenda, and that is they do not want their consoles to be stacked upon. It started with the PlayStation 3, where instead of making it a nice, cuboid kind of thing, they gave it a big dome top, a big curve thing. And that was so clever because it meant that you can't put anything on top of it. And it takes pride of any stack of entertainment-based equipment that it falls onto. Obviously it can't fall onto, it will break and void the warranty. I've been playing it non-stop, honestly. I mean, I'm actually slightly annoyed that I have to do this podcast because it's time away from my PlayStation 5. And like my fiance, blah, 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 whatever. It's time for another edition of Sam Swallows for the Seasons. I know you all look forward to it, or Sam's Seasonal Beverage Review. And listen, today's a tough one, okay? We're welcoming a new competitor into the seasonal beverage game, and that is Pret a Manger. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I trialled their s'mores hot chocolate, and there's no nice way of saying this, guys. I couldn't piss it out fast enough. As far as seasonal beverages go, I think it was genuinely one of the worst experiences I've ever had. It's one of the most unpleasant things I've had to swallow, and that's me saying that, okay? I'm fully open to the idea that perhaps, I won't say where I got it, I won't say who served me, but perhaps it was just someone having an off day and they didn't make it to their best ability. It tasted like a digestive biscuit that someone had left in some lukewarm water on a windowsill, and then someone who had just eaten a large fistful of chocolate spat into that mug. That's what it tasted like. I've never had a s'more, and at this stage now, I'm scared to, because if that's what it tastes like, they shouldn't give those to children. That's terrible. Now, again, please let me know if you've tried this hot chocolate and enjoyed it, because I'm fully open to the idea that I just had a duff one. We've all had a duff beverage, even if it's like one of your go-tos and you're like, this is normally good, but this is actual piss swill. Look, I have to judge it based on the one that I had, and so it gets 1 3/4 stars. Okay, I don't have it in me to give something no stars or 1 stars. But honestly, between you and me, and I'll whisper this because, this is secret, it doesn't deserve the 3.5. It doesn't deserve the 3/4 of a star. That's just me being nice. Like, that's me. And you know what? It was served to me piping hot as well, which means you can't drink it for the first few minutes it's given to you. You got to let it cool, by which point, whatever they've put in it to flavour it has settled at the bottom. And so by the time I finish it, because I do swallow everything whole, by the time I got to the bottom, that's where all the flavour was. but I had just stomached my way through some just brown water. That's what it felt like. It felt like, let's heat up some water and flavor it with brown. Okay? That's a Simpsons reference, and if you enjoyed that, welcome. You should stick around. You're going to have a lovely time. Listen, guys, 1 3/4 stars for the S'mores hot chocolate. If you want me to trial a different seasonal beverage that you think I'll enjoy, do let me know on my social medias, at Mr. Sam Lake on everything. But without further ado, speaking of tough swallows, it's time to swallow a hard truth about this show, and that is that we have not interviewed anyone who is not of the female persuasion. Okay? And in honesty, it's not something I thought about, but I'm just going to say, I think male comedians can be as funny as female comedians. I have little proof of it. But this week, my guest is the first male guest of I've Had a Rosé, a good, close, personal, funny friend of mine in the form of Huge Davies. And this is a fantastically interesting episode to listen to, because not only is Huge funny, but he's also incredibly pessimistic about his performance as a podcast guest. But I'm sure once you listen to this episode, you'll realize that that's only like 50% true. He's, all right. That's his own words. You'll hear them. But it's a fantastically entertaining episode, and it's also informative. It's informatainment. So I do hope you enjoy it. Look out for the message from the sponsors in the break, and I will check back in with you all at the end of the episode, as I often do, because it's classic me. I just can't quit you. We're just like those two barebacking cowboys on the mountain. That's my relationship that I like to have with my listeners. Anyway, enjoy this episode. Here is the wonderful Huge Davies. And we are here with another amazing guest of I've Had a Rosé, dipping into the pink sparkly fountain, which is where he's normally found. He's the most emotional person I know. Please welcome Huge Davies. Hi, Huge.
Hey, how are you? You're going to be calling me Huge throughout the whole thing. We'll use my real name.
Am I allowed to use your real name?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's appropriate. It'd be
Okay.
weird. It's the first time they've ever called me Huge before.
All right. Okay. So I'm here with Anastasia David. Hugh,
Yeah.
how are you?
Not too
Are you
bad.
well?
I am well. Should I be drinking?
That's entirely up to you. You can if you want.
It's quite early, but I feel like I should be drinking, because do people normally drink?
A few people have. Karen did. Helen did. Yeah, you'd be in good company.
Well, it's 1 o'clock. That's normal, isn't it? If you're a normal man, I don't drink, but I will break my sobriety to fit the podcast. I'll do anything for a good pod.
Do anything for the pod.
Anything.
Get a can out. Get a can of White Lightning out.
I'll tell you what, if there's a vape juice near me, I might just sip on that and see what that does to my immune system.
That's more medicinal than anything.
Yeah, well, there we are. No, I'm fine. I'm okay. Second lockdown, baby. Are we not mentioning COVID on the podcast? Is it too depressing?
You can no. We can fully mention it. Let's stay true to the narrative we're living in.
Well, the narrative we're living is it's second lockdown, and Sam's bought a PS5.
I really have. One of the two people on this pod is doing very well for themselves. What have you been doing to stay busy during lockdown too?
Nothing really. I've been doing work, bits and bobs. I'm trying to do my own podcast, but I'm not going to talk about that because that's fucking. Imagine going on a podcast and hear someone talk about a different podcast.
Isn't that why anyone does a podcast?
No,
isn't that why?
I did this podcast to talk to you. I mean, I would have gone on this podcast for anything.
Really?
If you were like, this podcast is about Eurovision, which I know nothing about, I would have done it just so I could talk to you.
That's very sweet.
I mean, it would be a bad podcast in a way. I feel like
it'd be a terrible episode. Nobody would listen to it, but the sentiment is lovely. So Hugh, I'm going to ask you the first question that I ask all of my guests. I think I already know this answer because I've known you for a long time. But would you describe yourself as an emotional person?
I would say I think I am an emotional person, but I don't show it at all.
No,
So like,
not at all.
no, I don't. Yeah, because I don't. Hmm. I do think I'm just thinking. I think I'm in check with my emotions, and I'm quite upfront about my emotions normally. If I'm upset,
Mm,
I'll just say I'm upset. Or if I'm angry, I'll
yeah.
just be like I'm angry. But for a lot of people, I just say it with most blank, like the most blank expression. So you'd be like, I don't think he is emotional. I think he's like a robot. But I do get emotional. But only when I think only when it calls when it's like necessary to be emotional. Like I don't get emotional over things that are like
What to you is like a reasonable time to get emotional?
if someone's going through a tough time, or like I see something that's like emotionally stimulating, or
Okay.
like I don't think I'm very like um if you see something which is like yeah, if it affects me personally, then I'll get
Yeah.
upset. But in terms of
Okay.
like I can feel empathy for other people, but I don't tend to get upset when um it's difficult actually because I feel like I am maybe sometimes. I just don't show emotion, which I think people don't think I'm emotional because I'm
Yeah. You very matter. If I think if you do experience emotions, you very sort of, as you said, matter of factly say out loud the feeling you are currently feeling.
yeah, like it's a business meeting. Like I've had
Yeah, yeah,
I've had I've met up with people and been like, what you said 2 years ago was really upsetting. We need to talk about
yeah.
it. And it's like we get the notes out, and I'm like, okay, cool. And then we just finish it by the end, and it's done. Like,
Okay.
but I don't cry about everything. I cry sometimes. There's specific YouTube clips that make me cry.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we love a YouTube clip on this show. You're not the first person who's said that. What's your go-to?
Um, there's a guy who sings in the subway. He got quite famous. Um,
Uh-huh.
he's singing a Change Is Coming by Sam Cooking. By Sam Cooking. A Change by Sam
Sam
Cooking. Sam Cooking. Can you believe?
It's your favorite song, Sam Cooking.
It's you whilst you're cooking.
A range is gonna come.
Yeah.
Um, so he's so he's on the subway.
He's on the subway and he's singing "The Changes Are Coming," and he's very everyone's ignoring him on the platform, but he's got a beautiful voice. And then what happened was,
Oh
and he got famous. The clip blew up, and he went on
yeah.
James Corden, and then I immediately lost all sympathy. I was like, okay,
Oh God, this story had such a tragic
yeah, I
ending.
know. I cried even harder. The
Oh dear.
end of the Iron Giant.
Fair. That's a very poignant emotional moment in that
Yeah,
film.
yeah. Those are the only two.
Just those two, nothing else.
No, I've tried. Yeah, I've tried many a time. I tried watching
Yeah.
videos about when the people come home from war,
Oh yes.
and the dog gets happy. I've I've tried that, but I go, well, I'm pleased for the dog.
Is it easier to feel empathy for the dog than it is for the humans?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go with you on that. Now, what's interesting, and I think people tend to do this when they hear the word emotional, is that they focus on like sad feelings, feeling upset or feeling angry. Are you the same way with your emotions if they're happy feelings?
Yeah, probably. I would often look back at moments and go like, that was a good moment, or like that was a
Uh
sad
huh.
moment, because I
Yeah.
normally just react just the same. Like I'm emotional retroactively. Like, uh, but yeah, I think I'm quite monotone in my personality. Like I just sort of stay there.
Yeah.
But I do think that like you know being emotional doesn't necessarily mean like you're exhibiting emotions. Like just because you're like crying or laughing doesn't mean that you're any more emotional than me, who's just like not doing anything. It's just about
Right.
feeling things. I feel happy,
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
feel sad, but I'm just not. I just don't really show it. Um,
No, but we know if you feel happy or sad because you'll say, I feel very happy or
yeah,
I feel very sad.
there'll be moments when like we're with our friends and we'll have a good moment. I'll be like, "That was a good moment," and then you'll all know I thought it was a good moment.
That was a good moment.
Yeah,
Classic hot take from you.
yeah.
Um, But I've seen you in like fits of laughter and joy before.
I've laughed
And
before, yeah, sure.
what's that like?
Yeah. I do laugh quite a lot, but I only laugh with
Yeah,
people like a lot with people that I'm familiar with, I reckon. I only have about
right.
10 friends.
Yeah, that you don't need more,
No.
I think.
There's sometimes I'll meet people who I get on really well with at like, a party or whatever. That's me pretending I
Yeah.
go to parties, by the way. Um, and then I get on really well with them. We'll have like loads to talk about. But then in my head, I'm like, you won't ever see this person again. It's time to kill them. So let's taper this off real quick. They'll be like, "Oh,
Fair
I
enough.
like all the things that you like." I'm like, "Yeah, but I've got 10 spaces." It's like my friends are like Pokemon. Only 6 in the
Yeah,
bag. The rest go in the computer. Do you want?
the rest go in the box, never to be seen again.
Yeah, go into the fucking computer. Goodbye. You're not as strong as my top 6. Can I go back to my family in the wild? Get in the computer.
Oh, that's a reference I really appreciate. Thank you.
That's all right.
Um, um, so you've already said about YouTube videos as a way that can get you feeling emotional. Are there any other things that you do or things that you use to access your emotions if you feel like you have some free time, or I just want to get in touch with my feelings? Is there anything that you use as like a gateway?
No, I don't really think about emotions like that much.
Really?
No, not really. I sometimes
Mm,
like I'm quite in the present. I'm a bit like a dog. I live for today.
okay.
If I'm feeling sad, I'll deal with that today. Or if I'm like, I don't really um, think about them that often
Okay.
because I don't know. I mean, I'm just. I don't know. I feel like I'm just making myself really busy, so I don't really think about them. Occasionally, I'll have a moment.
That's interesting.
Yeah, like I don't think I. Yeah, I don't think I reflect that often. That's when I think when I do get emotional, it's really, really big because
Yeah.
like um, because I like I don't think I'm repressing, but I just don't really think about it that much. And when I come to terms with it, it's a bit like every now and then I'll think about that I'll be dead. I get it about twice a year, and I'll
The
be like,
futility of existence. Yeah.
yeah, and I'll be like, once you die, and like if you have grandchildren, you probably won't have kids at this point, but if you have grandchildren, one day they won't mention you, and that'll be the last time you exist. And I was like, oh god,
Wow.
and it's like sometimes it gets me like twice a year, and then I have like a real big panic attack. But apart from then, I feel absolutely nothing.
But when you have those panic attacks, what do you think? Like, oh, I've got to fucking breed some children, and then those children have to breed as soon as possible.
Well, I just go have to start a podcast now. I guess there's a record. Um, no, yeah, no, no, I don't think I do anything about it. Then I think about it a lot, and I get quite
Mm,
philosophical about it. But apart from then, I'm sort of just live in the now. I don't really
yeah,
have any. I don't know. Yeah, maybe I'm just. Is that
I,
weird? I don't know.
I sort of picture you, sort of like you sort of like something happens that might warrant an emotion, and then you're like, okay, I've noted that. Now I'm gonna like store that away, and then every 2 years I'm gonna climb to the top of a mountain, and then once I'm on top of that mountain, that's my allocated time, maybe 2 weeks every 2 years, to go through all of the emotions, get them out of the way, and then I'll return to normal civilization and continue to not deal with feelings at the moment that they arise.
Well, maybe. Yeah. I don't think I forecast that I'll go up the mountain, but I'll be like, when the mountains happen, I've been like, oh, that was that moment then. I guess where I got really upset.
Ah, okay.
Um, but no, I don't think I've ever got up really upset in front of anyone else as well.
Really?
No, I don't think so.
Ever?
Like really
Not
upset.
even.
Like I've never. I think I've raised my voice once to someone.
Right.
Yeah, and that was.
Okay.
Um,
Imagine if you said, "Yeah, I don't think like I've killed a man," but that's
but I felt nothing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Just
Um,
very hollow.
yeah, yeah, so it didn't count. Um, no, yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think I'm emotional. It's odd. I do think I'm emotional, but I just don't. I don't. I just process it and go like, yeah, I'm sad now or I'm happy now, but I don't
Hmm.
emote it. You know, if my emoji,
Yeah.
if I had an emoji, it'd be the blank face. But underneath,
But you,
there's happy emojis, there's sad emojis, there's the sick emoji. I don't know. I don't really use emojis. Is it?
I can't believe you're comparing yourself to emojis. That's not where I thought this conversation would go at all.
Yeah. But here we are.
Here we are. Well, okay, this question might be difficult for you to answer then. Is there an emotion that's easy, that's like super easy for you to get into then? Because for a lot of people, they'll think, well, I've had people on before who are like, oh, it's super easy for me to cry. Like you could just show me like one thing, and then I'm just thinking about it, I'm in tears. Or some people have said, oh, if I see someone achieve something they've wanted for a long time, then that I get so happy and I'm just on such a high. Is there an emotion that comes to you really easily?
Probably, I think it used to probably be disgust. I used to be quite a sarcastic person, and I would like
Hmm.
whenever I saw someone doing something that I thought was really wrong, I'd be like, "That is pathetic that they would do that," or like, you know, it's with anything.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the equivalent now will be um, like a TikTok house. If I went if I went round a TikTok house, I'd be like, this is disgusting. Everything here about his house is wrong." But like now I'm a bit. I think I also choose not to be emotional about things because it's like
Okay.
it's important to me because of like my like career and stuff. It's like
Ooh. Okay.
if you get invested into things,
Yeah.
you're setting yourself up to have an unhappy life. Like
Right.
it's so difficult to be someone who works in like, well, I hate to say this, but it's like it's the arts. What comedy is the arts.
Yeah. Yeah. It
So
is.
so like slim the amount like the chance of you being successful in anything that you
Yeah.
actually aim to achieve that
Hmm.
there's no point investing anything into it. Like you're going to be, you know, if there's the amount of things that I get asked to like do or you know work on that just to turn to absolutely nothing, that become nothing,
Yeah.
is just
Absolutely.
insane. Like
Yeah.
I I was having, I won't say on the thing, I'll tell you afterwards. I was having a phone call with someone who was like, they
Hmm.
wanted me to star in this thing with them in America. And as I was having the Skype conversation with them, I was like, I just was like, this won't happen, and it's fine. And I
Okay.
didn't get it in the end. And I
Hmm.
didn't feel anything. And it's like,
Really?
yeah, I didn't feel I was like, I just felt it was good. I was like, well, it's good that I met that person. I really like them. It's good that they like me. Um, but
Mm.
not everything is for you. That you know, like there was
Super
nothing.
true.
There was
Yeah.
that thing that they wanted. They wanted you to be good for. It wasn't for you, and that's okay. Something else is for you. And I think that
So now it's almost like a you're describing like a sort of protective pessimism. Like
definitely,
if you don't get it's like don't get your hopes up, but then because then if it doesn't happen, you won't be sad.
yeah, definitely. But I don't think that. I
But
think
then
people think that's depressing. But it's like
mm,
I do enjoy the things as they happen. I enjoy things. It's
yeah.
like, but just don't. It is what it is. It's in the now. You go.
But you
I
sort
mean,
of it sounds like you've combined it with also being able to see the positives in everything. Like in that example, you were still like, "Oh, well, I'm just happy that that person thought of me, or that they thought of me with this idea. I
yeah,
enjoyed doing whatever it was that led to that."
yeah, 100%. Like, yeah, definitely. I, th- bec- what was I going to say? Um, c- hmm. Yeah, if you if you feel you do have like if you don't get it, the
Yeah,
thing, there's still value. Like it's
absolutely.
like
Yeah,
it's so difficult to, for example, like to want something. It's kind of stupid to be honest. Like you're not going to get it. Like you're not going to get it. But it's you can still like try and get it, and it can still be fun. It's a bit like it's a bit like my philosophy is like, maybe it's like it's the taking part and not the winning. Like at least you're not working.
Uh-huh.
At least you're not working in the shoe shop anymore. Do you know what I mean? It's like
When did you work in a shoe
I
shop?
was in a shoe shop for 2 years.
Did you really?
Yeah. When we first
What,
met, I was
cobbling
working.
away?
I think when we first met, I was working in a shoe shop.
Oh, I thought you were working as a waitress in a cocktail bar.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Sorry, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry, they are.
That's
They're pretty similar, I have to say. Um,
I think that's a very interesting outlook on life you have.
do you
It,
do you,
I,
do
I,
you agree with it?
I think to a degree, yeah. I don't think I have the same ability you do to not want the things to happen. As much as I tell myself, even if it's something that's completely out of the realms of possibility, like if somebody even whispered the idea that Graham Norton was stepping down as Eurovision commentator and that like there might be an opening, I even though I know that that is in no way going to happen anytime soon, I would still quietly, very quietly, at the back of my head, be like, it could be me. But I think I do that for like all of the little stuff as well. I think I've gotten better at not 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 getting so annoyed if something doesn't happen or if something doesn't go my way. But I think the way that I handle that now is just trying to have more pots on the boil, have more things to do. Like you said, like you just keep busy. Because then even if something doesn't happen, you're increasing your chances because you're doing all of this other stuff as well.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
I think, like for example, if Graham Norton did step down and you didn't get the next job, like
yeah.
would you would
People would start petitions. I
well,
mean, it would be odd,
I'd
but
I'd I mean I'd start watching if you if you were hosting it. I'd probably enter as well at that point. So
please do.
the crossover that everyone's been waiting for. No,
Yeah,
I I think that it's so yeah, you're basically not going to get what you want, and wishing it, even working as hard. If I worked as hard as I possibly could, all day and
yeah,
all night, and I probably still wouldn't get the things that I probably deep down wanted. So I just don't think about them.
right.
And it's like,
So
and also the things that you want are not the things that you actually want at all. Like those things, because it's work and you don't when things are happening, you're not like you feel like as if you're like be watching it on TV or something. It's like no, you'll be there.
yeah,
You'll be like the reason those things are so great is they're really difficult and you have to work at them and you have to be good at them. Like you
yeah.
doing those things, hosting Eurovision would be really, really difficult because of
Oh yeah,
all the pressure that's built up on you. And you probably wouldn't be having I don't know if you'd be having fun or not, but you wouldn't certainly be feeling like it was an achievement. You'd be like, uh-oh, this is the next big step up. Sure, you'd be excited. But I
yeah.
think that anything you ever wish for, like anything I ever wished for when I started stand up that I've achieved now, I felt absolutely nothing about. Like I thought that
Wow.
maybe, like maybe I was like when I first did my first stand up on TV, I was like,
Yeah,
then you know it's difficult when you're coming up because you just want to play clubs and get into clubs and just have stage time. And I was like,
yeah.
as soon as I did this, like I'll be able to gig anywhere because I've been on TV.
Hmm.
And when I
Yeah.
did it, the day was completely. I was in a bag of nerves the whole day. And when I finally did it, I felt absolutely nothing. I was like, because there was no. I just had to go. Well, you have to work for the next thing because no one's going to give you anything. Like
So you're always thinking about the next thing, the thing that this thing leads to.
yeah, and well,
Mm,
because once you see yourself on a TV show, it's
yeah.
you don't. I don't know how anyone else feels, but like I felt nothing. I was like, okay, well that's something that it's exactly as you expected.
Okay.
It's exactly as you expect. It's you doing your own stand up on a screen, and it's not even slightly. It's not even that weird. And you're like, well,
What did you expect? You were there.
yeah, yeah. It's as you remembered it. It's not special.
Right.
It is what it is. You
Okay.
got to do another one. And like
Yeah.
even as you, I mean, how did you feel when you won the Leicester Square Comedian of the Year.
Yeah.
Did you feel like when the next day you were like, well, like I've beaten it. It's like, I don't know. Did you
I think I felt maybe a week after, I was like, oh, okay, that's happened now. I tried to win it a couple times, and now on this time I actually did it. I think at the moment it happened, I honestly felt like not just the funniest person in the world, but also the most good looking. Like I just walked around with just like a confidence of just being like, how is anyone like able to handle me right now? I am
Yeah,
everything.
you
And then
wouldn't.
that dissipates, and then you realize where you belong in the natural order of the universe again.
Well,
But
when we went full Shake Shack afterwards, you were glowing.
oh god, yeah.
Yeah.
Hugh, I'm really enjoying reminiscing, but do you mind if we just take a break to hear a word from our sponsors?
Autoglass repair, autoglass replace, is it?
Who sponsored Joking Hazard? Yeah, I got them back in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, yeah,
yeah.
I don't mind if we take a break.
Fantastic. We'll be right back with Huge Davies. You know, when I saw who was sponsoring this week's episode, I got very excited. Briefly, and then I realised that my imaginary producer Gemma misheard me when I suggested who should sponsor us this week. But nonetheless, this week is sponsored by Squarespaces. Are you a new parent who's too busy to parent? Do you wish you could send your children away to boarding school but don't have the money? Is your newborn baby just a little bit of a bitch? Well then, why not buy a Square Space? It's a hermetically sealable, soundproof cube that you can leave your child in for extended and undisclosed periods of time. You might be thinking, Sam, that sounds like a cot or a playpen, and you'd be wrong, fuckface. Square Spaces are like tiny, barely inhabitable studio flats for your wee one, with no heating or ventilation. Leave your child in a nice pitch black soundless chamber and get them nice and docile for that easy parenting experience. And listeners of I've Had a Rose can get 20% off their Square Spaces with the offer code ROSE. So I encourage you to buy one of those, and you know, I know people have said that these are technically baby prisons, but you know what I say? If it's 20% off, is it really that bad? Buy the prison! Go on. Anyway, thank you so much to the people at Squarespaces, and now back to this week's episode. And we're back, and we're still here with the everly positive and joyful Huge Davies.
I am joyful.
You are full of joy.
Just say I'm joyful, and then
I think
you just know it.
I think you're just telling truths. You're spilling tea,
Yeah,
as someone much gayer than you would say.
yeah, 100%, 100%. You would say.
That's what I would say. Yeah. But I have 3 more questions for you in
Yeah,
this second section.
yeah.
And I don't think there'll ever be a guest who will have a harder time with these questions,
Yeah.
but we'll try.
I would just say for any podcast, I'm always the hardest guest for anything. Like whenever I do a podcast, because I know this would be hard for you because you have to talk, and I'm like, yeah, yeah.
But you've got no problem talking.
No, but people just don't want to hear what I've got to say because it's like, if I'm ever doing anything, it's like I'm always the person on the side who's like giving very little, and that's the joke. Like I'll be giving nothing, and then but you don't want to hear an hour of someone giving nothing. But
No, you're like the fun. You're like the Muppets in the what you call it? The ones in the box in the theatre.
what do you mean? What are you talking about?
Miss Piggy.
Oh, Miss
No, I'm
Piggy.
kidding. You know the 2 Muppets who are like up in the theatre, and every time they do a skit, And then they go to those two old Muppets.
Oh yeah, that's probably me. I know what you mean.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'd say so.
My first question in this bit is: can you think of a time that you've ever gotten too emotional?
No, I was playing FIFA. I remember, and I'm
Oh,
very,
for fuck's sake!
I'm, ve- I'm very, very like strict on FIFA. A lot of people reset the game when they haven't won a game to try and win the game. But whatever happens in the game, I keep.
Yeah.
And it
Okay.
was the final of the Champions League. I was there with my terrible team, Fulham, and I was like, whatever happens, you will not you will not reset the PlayStation. Like what the result is
Right.
the result. And I think I was up by quite a lot, and then I lost it in the end by just my own mistakes. And I was so furious that I was furious at so many things. I was furious that I hadn't done the job. I was also furious that I said I wouldn't reset. I was angry at myself, my own philosophy. I was so angry.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like I was also about like, I don't know, 15, 16 or something. And I was so angry,
Right.
I just had to like punch something. And I never really feel like that. But I was like, right, I'll punch the bed because the bed won't feel anything. And
Okay.
I punched the bed, but because my bed was like unmade because I was a teenager, my laptop was like just under the covers, and I punched through my laptop screen, and I
Jeez.
realized what I'd done. And as soon as that happened, I realized what I'd done. I was like, "You're such a fucking loser! Like, you're such a fucking loser!" And
Can I just say, so I don't know if I told you this before I hit record, but you're actually the first male guest of this podcast.
oh,
Or
really?
you yeah. And people have messaged me saying that they really enjoyed the show, but they can't wait until a male guest comes on because they're really interested to see what they would like. And I I just think it's quite funny that the first male guest, the time that they got the most emotional was during a game of FIFA.
I will say that
And
on reflection,
yeah,
I shouldn't have been angry at all. But
right.
that was if the question is when did I get too emotional, then yeah, I'm guilty. I got too emotional there, and I shouldn't even reacted to that. I should have been like, you knew what you were getting yourself into. You knew you were going
Yeah,
to lose because that's the way life is. And I shouldn't have got angry.
yeah. I don't want to further the myth that violence is caused by people playing video games, but I actually did something very similar. And it's almost exactly the same as your story, except instead of FIFA, it was Super Monkey Ball for the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah. Well, I can
I fe-
understand how you emotionally
yeah,
invested in that.
my monkey fell off the track, and I got so angry. I threw my Game Boy Advance at a radiator, and then do you remember those screens that like they're not LCD, they're not like what you get in like phones these days. They're like the old school, not even like a backlight on them, so you had to play them under a lamp.
Yeah.
And it got like a weird like black sludge in it because I'd busted like the liquid part of the screen and it had started leaking out the front.
Oh god. Well, that's what my
God, you
laptop.
get
That's my laptop was like. After that, when I
yeah.
punched it through, I had to do my UCAS on one corner of the screen. It was like literally like I had maybe a sixth of the screen. I did my whole UCAS application on the bottom because I didn't want my mum and dad to find out that I'd punched my laptop. So
Wow.
I had to do it on like what is quite literally like 10 centimeters squared of screen. I did my whole UCAS
Yeah.
on that bit. Um,
God, look what happens when you just get two of the lads together. They just start talking about violence, video games,
punch,
punching stuff.
punching. I love that I was like too much of a coward to punch a real surface. I was like, if I punch the wall, I'll damage the wall and myself. If I punch,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
need to punch the bed because not only will it not hurt me, it'll be silent.
yeah. This is a part of the show called Stick a Cork in It. And this is the part where you get to tell someone who has wronged you in some way to stick a cork in it. Does anyone come to mind when I tell you to stick a cork in someone?
um, yeah, I guess so. But I wouldn't want to. Hmm. I feel like I've become a lot more like placid. I'm like, what will be, will be. I've actually become quite
Uh-huh.
Buddhist actually. I'm sort of like, but I think there was one person. I remember I remember my headmaster at my old school.
Uh-huh.
He did something that was like really, with my eyes, quite wrong. But I think at the time we were a bit like, oh, okay. I mean, it felt wrong at the
Okay.
time. We were like, okay, he did this thing right where he would watch us in the showers. No, that's not there.
There's nothing wrong with that. That
Yeah.
happens everywhere, right?
No, so we did an exam. It was a very small school, so there's only about like 25 people in my year. So it was
Right.
very small. And he did this thing where when we did an exam or something at the end of year exams, and then he would call us into his office one by one to give us the results for some reason.
Oh,
Like
okay.
because there was such a small school, you could like do that. You could get it done in an afternoon. If you go to a big school, like, obviously it's stupid. But there was only like I say 25 people in the year. I think it's even less. And there was like 18 people in the year. So he calls them
Yeah.
on one, and then what he would do is he would basically tell us one on one that we'd failed our exams.
All of you.
Yeah, and then be like, just kidding, but then leave it so long. Like he told me I'd failed all my exams, and like academically, I'm awful. Like I got a U in economics at A level, and I tried. Like I'm really bad at school. Like
Right.
I'm thick as fuck. Like I'm so stupid.
It's
Like
true.
this to me was devastating. Like
Mhm.
because my mum and my dad were like, really, I've got like an Asian mum, and she, I think she really wanted good things from me educationally, but I'm really
Yeah.
stupid.
Mhm.
This to me was like devastating, and probably even more devastating to people that are really, really good at school who then failed all their exams. But he would do this systematically to every single kid. He did it. He couldn't do it. He did it once because you can't do it again. Everyone would know. But he did it once,
Right.
and everyone came out of the office and were just like, came out with like a sort of confused expression on their face, and I was like, what happened in there? Like, I don't know if you're happy or sad. And then when I came in, yeah, we realised that he did that to every single person, and the people that actually had failed, they were
Mm.
told to stay at home that day.
Wow.
So they would get the news over the phone or something. And then, but can you just imagine the headmaster being like, at the staff meeting, being like, listen, I want to tell the kids face to face so that I can tell them they failed and then give the good news they have passed. But obviously, it's going to really like insensitive for the people who have failed. So I think it's
Yeah.
best that we just keep them at home and say they're sick. and they and then so you could just put everything. So even as a small child, you're like, what happens to the people that did badly? And you're like, well, there's like 8 people ill today. there's like a lot of people ill. I wonder what they got. How are they getting their results? And then you're like, oh, they must have got the bad results then. So even then, you like know who's got the bad results. There's no
They're not there.
there's no privacy to
Jeez.
any of this, so everyone knows. So I just thought that
That's
was like a
awful.
crazy move for an educator to pull on us. I thought
That's so,
I only thought about that recently because I think I was like on a walk and I was just thinking about I don't know, thinking I was reminiscing about school or something. But I thought about that
yeah.
and I was like, that's absolutely fucking crazy. Like if you, like
That's like
he has
that's like
friends.
Mr. G.
That's like what?
Mr. G from Summer Heights High,
It's
where
like
he's telling everyone if they got into the musical or not.
yeah, it is like Mr. G. Um, yeah, I because he has friends and stuff. Obviously, he's a wife or something. He probably comes home and she's like, "How's work today?" And he's like, "I lined up 18 children. I told them they all failed, and then I said they were fine." Like after the 5th kid, where the 5th kid is like, "Oh, that's really disappointing. I've worked really hard for that," and he goes, "Nah." Like after this, so to the next kid, you could get bored of that response eventually. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
Um,
if you were someone who was not particularly good at school, can you think of what it was like for the person who was like the best at
that's
school?
what I mean. Yeah, like it was bad for me, but I expected
Yeah.
to get nothing out of that. Like I was for real. I was almost kicked out of my other school for being so bad at
Wow.
school because I was like giving the school like a bad name because they have like they wanted to be a good school. Obviously, they had to like
Right.
release what the grades everyone got. I was doing so badly. They were like, "We if you don't get better, you have to go to a different school."
Wow.
That's how bad I was at school. Yeah.
But look at you now. You're
I,
not at school anymore.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I've got kicked out. Um, um, but yeah, I think that's the person I would also my other teacher he bullied me and he got like fired for bullying me because
My God.
he called me Divvy Davies That was like my nickname. He
Okay,
made
but
up.
to be fair to him, that's great wordplay.
I was,
That's a top quality nickname.
and to be fair to him, I was thick as pig shit. So like, fair
Yeah.
enough. But like, as an 11-year-old, it did like everyone at the school called me Divvy Davies because the teacher called me Divvy Davies. So we
Yeah.
had to have a talk with the teacher, and then he actually stayed. He wasn't fired, but then he was fired 2 years after I left school for bullying someone else.
Ugh.
He's like,
I mean,
he's like Prissy Patel.
they do it though. I mean, you get nicknames in school. I lived behind a biscuit factory when I went to school. I lived behind a biscuit factory, so all of the kids called me that gay boy with no neck. So
Is that why you talk about biscuits so much?
yeah, because I'm gay and I've got no neck.
It's your only observational material you have to draw upon. Is this the biscuit
Yeah.
factory? The smell of it,
Uh-huh.
the smell, the sounds, the workers.
Every part of my childhood is tinged with the waft of a Cornish shortbread.
Was it a Cornish shortbread?
They did all kinds of biscuits, actually.
Was it like those Fox's tins where you just get whatever, it's a random...
Kind of. Well, it's like those ones, those biscuits that come in a big tube.
I think you're thinking Pringles.
Sorry, yes, I said biscuits. I meant Pringles. I lived behind a Pringle factory.
Which biscuits that come in a tube?
Do you not know? They're like, I'm not going to say like fancy luxury biscuits, but like they cut, the tubes that you get
I think I know what you mean.
The tubes that you get like a whiskey bottle in.
Yeah.
And then someone was like, let's fill that with biscuits.
No, my
that.
aunt used to have some of those. She'd bring them out for like if we came around for like lunch or something. She would get them out with my mum and dad. And I know what you mean. They're the fancy ones you bring out.
Yeah.
You bring out you bring them out for family, or
yes,
like, or a visitor. The biscuit
or eating alone in your bedroom.
yeah. No.
And then you keep the tube, and that's my business, and you don't need to ask about that.
Sometimes I put the tube on my arm, pretend I'm a robot.
We all would.
Yeah. You not done that as a kid? You put the tube on your arm. I'm a robot.
Yep.
First male guest on. You talk about FIFA. You're a robot. Listen, I'm a sensitive man.
Okay, there's only one bit left, and I'm quite sad about it, but it will be fun. It's called All the Feels. I've got a few things that I'm gonna fire off at you. It's quick fire, and you just tell me briefly how you feel about each of these things.
Yeah.
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. All the Feels starts now. The actor Christopher Walken.
I like him a lot. I like his voice. I like that he creates his own intonation on sentences. He just puts a semicolon where he pleases. He goes, if I was talking about, I'm seeing a lamp. I go, if I say, "Oh, the lamp, it's really nice." He goes, "The lamp, it's really nice," or something. Like he was just like, just put a comma in there, mate. Love it. What a champion.
Pokemon, but it's the porno version.
Oh, that exists though. I've seen them. When it's been quite a dark place. If you type in Pokemon XXX on Google, just to see it, it's real. It's really fucked up.
We both seen it. I think we watched it before we started the run of Joking Hazard.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, yeah, we did. We looked it up. It was people are like spent a lot of time on that. Some of them are like shaded and stuff. It's crazy, but yeah.
Wow.
But how do I feel about it? I don't think I like it, but I'm not against it existing.
Okay. Nintendo, just Nintendo in general.
I love Nintendo. Love it. I play it every day.
Lovely. The Smash cultural reset hit that was Joking Hazard 2016.
I feel very positively about that. I learned a lot. I had some good times with my friend Sam Lake. It was a very good experience. So my first experience of doing comedy at a fringe festival. I loved it, and it was probably a very defining feature of my life. I enjoyed it, and also we did this thing where after every show we'd hug each other.
We did do that
because no matter how bad it got, like we just we just think we had a hug at the end. It was an excuse to hug each other. I think. But
I also didn't realize until after the show was long over, that when you went out the back of the room to what I thought you were getting was a glass of water, you're actually doing shots.
Yeah, the staff. I got on one with the staff, and so I went to the
Yeah.
bar, and they would give me free alcohol, and then I would come on and do my bit, and then
Yeah.
go off again, and then I go get more booze, and then I come back. Like it was free. I'm not going to turn down free alcohol.
Fair enough. In retrospect, I
But
would have done the exact same thing.
you didn't talk to
I thought you.
maybe you didn't talk to the staff as much as I did. Maybe you're not a people person in the way that I am. I don't know.
There's probably some truth to that. It depends on the person that you want me to be people with.
The person who was serving drinks at the bar.
You do very well with like cool professions like bartenders, trendy people like that. I do very well with opticians assistants.
It's true actually. You whenever I see you, you always have like a really cool new pair of glasses. And that's probably down
It's
to
nothing.
they think about
Yeah.
you a lot when you go there. They're like, I think these rims would look real good on you.
Yeah. I love a good rim. And the final thing in all the feels, dark chocolate.
Not by itself. I like
Mm.
dark chocolate with other bits in it. Like if it's got like a salted caramel thing on it, I like that. But that's
Okay.
because that's
Okay.
but that's a basic, isn't it? Everyone likes salted caramel.
I
I'd say
think I think yeah.
you know what's really good? Digestives with the dark chocolate ones. They're really good.
Okay.
I think that they're better than the milk ones, and I'm not an advocate for dark chocolate. I think they are better than the plain milk ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
That might be a controversial statement. I don't know how people will feel about that.
Well, fuck them. I don't care.
Okay, fuck them and the horse they rode in on.
Yeah,
To be
yeah.
genuinely, people have messaged in, more than one person messaged in saying like, "Why is everyone so mean about dark chocolate on your show?" So this might be a nice boost for them that you've said something nice about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't eat. I wouldn't say it's. I like it over even white chocolate, but I think there's room for them. You know, there's room for dark chocolate. There's room for all
How
types of
how,
chocolate.
how do you feel about a ruby cocoa? Have you had a ruby chocolate?
What's a ruby? I don't know what that is. What's a ruby cocoa?
It's it's weird. It's chocolate, but it's pink and it tastes like I guess raspberries. It tastes like a berry kind of thing.
I'm gonna write it down. Actually, what's it called?
Ruby cocoa.
Ruby
You can get a
cocoa.
Kit Kat. You can get a Kit Kat that's covered in ruby chocolate. It's bright pink. You know
Ruby.
those Kit Kats? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, the marketing's working because I'm fascinated.
Right. It's like you know how they do green tea and wasabi Kit Kats, and they're bright green.
I love the way slowly your podcast is turning into a biscuit review show.
It's just biscuits and seasonal beverages. Yep,
it's what you've always wanted.
it really is.
People were like, "You should do a show about like emotions and feelings." And you're like, "What's your favorite biscuit? If you were a biscuit, what would it be?"
Oh, don't bring up that joke. It has too many harsh
Yeah.
memories for me. Well, Hugh, you've been a wonderful guest, and I've really enjoyed this.
Thank you.
I sort of don't want it. I don't want it to end, but it has to.
I'm sorry that I'm neither. For a podcast about emotions, it's been okay. The opening statement was, "I've got no emotions." So I've done pretty well to get like what a solid. What is there? 15-minute edit in here somewhere?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, maybe if I just isolate you saying each individual
Yeah.
word, and then I can put them in the order that I need. Is there anything before you go that you would like to shamelessly plug that the listeners might enjoy?
No, I would plug your episodes with Chloe. I listened to that one. I thought that was like the funny. I listened to the episode with you and Chloe. That was like the
Yeah.
funniest podcast I've heard in like
Really?
in ages. Yeah, I was like,
Oh, thank you.
I thought it was so funny. So I will plug episode number 1. If you didn't like this one, you're gonna like that one. You can look back at a funnier version of this. I don't think because I'm not that funny. I write jokes, but I'm not very funny. But Chloe's always funny. No, yeah, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I listened to it like twice. It was really funny.
Thank you. Where can people follow you on social media?
Yeah, I'm at Phil Wang. Just message me, inbox me. People, I say I'm Phil Wang. I think for the past year now, for every gig I do, I
Yeah.
say I'm Phil Wang, every single one, and it's like really killing my social media presence. But I find it quite funny. I don't care. And
Are you not tempted to pivot to Nigel Ung, seeing as he's got all of those Uncle Roger YouTube followers now?
listen, I started the Phil Wang thing. If I stop now, then people will stop thinking I'm Phil Wang. Even I support Phil Wang on tour, and even then,
Yeah.
I am Phil Wang. I do the first half of the show as Phil Wang. I fully do. This is 100% true. Phil's annoyed by it, but there we are. But
Oh well.
yeah, so you follow me at Phil Wang online, Twitter, Instagram. Yeah, that's
Okay.
all I got to say.
All right. Well, thank you. I'll encourage my listeners to follow you there. Phil, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me today. I
Uh,
love you a lot.
that's okay, Alan. Car.
Wow. Well, I mean, it was the first male guest, and after that, I'll consider letting another man on. Who knows? Huge was fantastic, and I do encourage you to follow him on his actual social medias at Huge Davies. I think it was such a fascinating episode. This idea of being pessimistic, but in a good and positive way, and focusing on enjoying the things that you're doing rather than what they could blue sky lead to. I think unintentionally he was passed on wisdom, which is like far more than he anticipated he would do. But I thought it was a fantastic episode, and I hope you agree. Hey, listen, if you enjoyed this episode, why not leave a review or a rating or whatever it is on the podcast platform that you are listening to? Hey, if you can leave a review, why not write a nice 1,000-word essay? That's a bit ambitious. I don't think anyone will do it, but why not? Why not? You don't ask, you don't get. If you enjoy me as the host of this show, then do follow me on social media at Mr. Sam Lake. That's MrSamLake, Mr. Sam Lake, not Mrs. Amlake. Some people get confused. We will be back again next week with another fantastic episode. I honestly adore making this podcast, I have to say, and all of the people who are saying lovely things about it and who keep listening every week. It really means a lot, especially in these really weird times. It's so nice to sort of have this outlet. An outlet that you might find in a wall that you can just plug stuff into. Stick a charger up my bum. There we go. I've ruined the nice thing that we're having, which is what I like to do in all of my outros. You just get me with another lad, and then I just become all laddie, and it's just incredibly toxic. But anyway, I will be back next week with another fantastic guest, and I hope you will join me then. Take care. Have an amazing week, and I'll speak to you soon.